Stunning new footage captured by a drone has just been leaked, leaving experts baffled. This mysterious and unexplained video reveals phenomena never before seen, igniting a flurry of speculation and curiosity. Is it evidence of advanced technology, a glimpse into secretive operations, or perhaps something even more otherworldly?
Drones, right off the bat, they're not a new piece of technology, but they're most definitely becoming more widespread. Especially living downtown Toronto, I see drones all the time. And yes, I get mad at them every single time for no reason. I always think it's aliens too for like 4 seconds, and I'm like, nah, just that guy over there. Surveys suggest that drone technology that's upcoming, that's what the general public fears the most. I mean, fair. That and VR, pretty ominous. Very Black Mirror vibes going on with those two. And part of this, or really a lot of this, is due to the fact that since this technology evolved so quickly, the laws and regulations surrounding drones, well, they haven't exactly had time to catch up. They're cool and all, but drones are quite invasive. Like I said, I see them a lot, and I don't wanna. These devices can make others feel like they're being spied on, when really we're just enjoying the view. In Portsmouth, one man was caught sunbathing on top of a 175-foot tall wind turbine. Yeah, what a location. There we go. The closer to the sun, the better, I guess. I don't know what his mentality is. Drone operator Kevin Miller spotted Joseph Byron catching a cool breeze on top of a turbine. Now, the man had obviously been asked about his parkour endeavor and how he got up there, of course. And apparently he's been climbing the turbine for over a decade, just for some alone time. Yeah, that guy's for sure Batman. Leave people alone. Stop flying drones near them. Number 9, ghosts. Ah yes, the black-eyed ghouls of Cannock Chase Forest in Stratfordshire, England. You've heard about this one? No? Huh. Listen up. They've been a local legend for hundreds of years now, and now we're finally at a time where drones are responsible for ghost photography. Yep, no escaping now, Casper. We have altitude and speed, buddy. These ghouls, they've been thought to be ghost victims that died from diphtheria outbreak back in the 1800s, so it's not like a scary ghoul Elden Ring type situation. It's just some lost souls, just some sad stuff. They're also said to be victims of Raymond Morris, who took the lives of several people back in the 1960s, so could be outbreak victims and could be worse. Either way, we got it all on drone cam. Check it out. Did you see a ghost wearing a white dress? A little odd to be in the woods like that, no? Definitely without bug spray, you'd probably be a little itchy. Imagine being a ghost and now you have to fly away from a drone. How stressful is that? Just a ghost racing a drone. Next paranormal activity right there. Number 8, Jeepers Creepers. This one I am not a fan of, okay? Some are afraid of heights, so that last one probably scared you. If you're afraid of clowns, well, buckle up. I grew up watching Jeepers Creepers, right? That movie ruined my childhood. Now this clip takes me back to the good old days. Kelly Lopez took his drone for a spin over a cornfield, maybe hoping to see some abandoned tractors, a sunset. Wouldn't hurt, who knows? When looking back at the footage, Kelly discovered a clown that also discovered Kelly's drone. Yeah, the last thing you'd expect in a cornfield, right? Just a clown. A minute into the footage, the clown notices the drone and then sprints. It takes off so fast. It's almost like he got caught doing something, you know what I mean? Or else why would you run? Doing what though? I don't want to know. Why is he dressed up like a clown too? I need answers. I need all the answers. Or maybe I don't. I don't know. This is too creepy. Let's move on. Number 7, Chernobyl. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl power complex erupted. It was just a horrible time. It erupted due to unstable and low power levels. And in turn, reactor 4 had been shut down a day before due to maintenance. And the next day at 1:23 a.m., radioactive debris compiled of fuel and reactor components just rained down over the building. And toxic fumes were then carried from the wind, and after just 4 months, 28 workers had died due to radiation exposure. Fast. Now eventually, they of course had to evacuate over 100,000 residents, and to this day, that zone is a no-go for humans. No can do. But drones, on the other hand, sure, they can swoop in and have a different fate. That area right now is full of nature, but humans are nowhere in sight, so it's pretty beautiful on a grim note. It looks like something from The Last of Us. Reactor 4 will stay highly radioactive for another 20,000 years, so I want to grab a drone soon. Number 6, Shark Circle. Cool, all the fears in one video. Let's do it. See, this is where I can get behind drone videos. This is where I like drones. Just this one time. The ocean, right? We have no idea what's in there, in the top or the bottom. So let's fly over and see if there's any treasure or shipwrecks laying around. Much safer. Even for rescue purposes, right? If someone's in a cave, maybe they're spelunking and they go missing, well, send in a little drone. Don't send in more people to get stuck. I should be like a guy in the chair who controls them. That's kind of fun. This next clip here shows surfers from South Africa not realize that they're paddling around a circle of sharks. Yeah, they looked at the footage afterwards and they were like, oh, we were almost lunch. How lovely. Now, I've swam with sharks before. I don't think sharks are the worst ever, obviously. I'm not endorsing that. But the circling part, the number of them and the circling, nah, I'm good. Number 5, massive whirlpool. This next one here will get a certain group of people. Again, me, I'm not a fan of large bodies of water or the ocean or circles of sharks. But murky water, like murky lakes, they're on my big fear list. I don't like those. I don't like putting my foot in a dirty lake. Back in February 2017, while waters were rising at Lake Berryessa in California's Napa Valley, the Glory Hole spillway, don't you dare laugh at that. The Glory Hole spillway did what life intended it to do. Did some spilling, there you go. Now thankfully a drone guy was nearby, always handy, those drone guys. So now we get to watch the horrors from above. It's also terrifying too when the water is not up that high, because now you have this massive pipe just emerging out of the lake, which, I mean, that's a bit worse of a fear in my opinion. Number 4, inside of a volcano. Awesome, just gives away everything in the title. If you're near an active volcano, don't film it. Just imagine it's the movie Dante Peak and run. Run far away for an hour and 46 minutes. Unless you're an expert. In that case, sure, put on your cool Iron Man spacesuit and then go sacrifice a couple of drones. Do it in the name of science, and then we'll watch and click the like button. A team of National Geographic explorers and scientists, well, they did just that, and it's very impressive. They had to sacrifice 2 drones to get up close to this active Maram crater on the Abram volcano in Vanuatu. The volcano has a 7.5 mile wide caldera, and its active craters contain lava lakes that flow forever. So, number 3, Corvette Sinkhole. I feel like this point is terrifying for a very specific group of people. Only if you're a Corvette guy. If you're watching, then, you know, you've been warned. Otherwise, it's just an epic fail, really. I'm glad nobody got hurt, if anything. In a bizarre turn of events, a sinkhole opened up inside of the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Yeah, inside of the museum, it just whoom, and then everything fell in. This was back in 2014. Now, like I said, luckily, nobody was around when the portal to the underworld opened up, but 8 Corvettes did get swallowed. 8 Corvettes bit the bullet. The devil wanted those 8 Corvettes for a very specific reason. I don't know. Maybe he likes to ride in style. He likes the roof off type vibe, you know? The Bowling Green Daily News reports that the sinkhole was not small. No, it was 20 feet deep and 40 feet wide in diameter. Now again, this all happened at 5:38 a.m. in the dome area of the museum, so no injuries. But if you're a car guy, this one's bad news. Prepare yourselves, here we go. The 8 cars claimed by the sinkhole included the 1993 ZR1 Spider, a 2009 Blue Devil ZR1, ironic, Blue Devil, that's why he wants it, and even the 1993 40th anniversary Corvette. Yikes, all in that hole. Whoops, what are the odds? Now the 2 ZR1s were on loan from General Motors, while the rest of the cars, well, they were just owned by the museum, so just a big L, very expensive L in my opinion. Sinkholes in this part of Kentucky are apparently not uncommon, so keep your head up, I guess. It sits on what geologists refer to as a karst region, where there are many underground caves and springs. Now, funny enough, engineers determined that the museum remains structurally sound. Still wouldn't catch me in there, no way. Sinkhole or not, I'm never gonna go to a Corvette museum in my life, probably. But if you're a car guy, hey, there you go. Number 2, bikes. Yeah, I bet you didn't think I would put bikes on this list, did ya? Well, think again, pal. It's one thing to see a city thriving and growing, like with many people, but especially that many people on bikes and bikers doing wacky lane change movements, it's a lot. But to see abandoned bikes just piled up, that's just sad. I'd rather see the opposite. I'd rather see an overflowing city than see a pile of dead bikes. Feels like something straight out of the movie WALL-E. Bike sharing has become a popular form of transportation around the world. Now in China, the supply of bikes is much greater than the demand. Add new regulations from local governments to lessen the amounts of bikes on streets, and well, now you end up with abandoned, and most of the time, never even used bikes, all sitting piled up in graveyards all across the country. Now, if you find one, this isn't a treasure chest. Leave it alone. This is a one-way trip to tetanus, so don't climb and explore. Don't be like DW from that one episode of Arthur, where she cuts her leg on the can because she's in the garbage thing. Now remember. That's what drones are for, okay? That's what I'm for. Photographer Wu Guoyang captured drone footage of a 15 massive bike graveyards, and they're all equally as haunting. The photographer claims that we're literally throwing away bikes, and that doesn't seem right. I have to agree. Give me like 3 of them. I had 2 stolen when I was younger, so, 2 wouldn't hurt. That's all I'm saying. And finally, number 1, bird drones. We'll finish on a weird one, right? Why not? That's what we're here for. Bird drones is not a new concept by any means, but back in the early 60s, the CIA had this secret program called Project Aqualine, where they used these large drones with a low radar cross-section and a little camera, all that cool spy stuff, and then they got caught. Obviously, it didn't look like a bird at all. They began working on it in 1965, and the first prototype, well, it was a bit obvious, wasn't it? It weighed over 100 pounds, it was this massive eagle, but the only way to catch it was to fly it into a net, which broke something every single test flight, so didn't work. We left it for a while. But now, cut to 2022, yeah, there's for sure a drone pigeon out there watching you somewhere. Olivia just did a couple lists on hidden cameras, so birds and drones, probably, someone's probably thought about it. People don't even think birds are real. They think those are drones, so if you're one of those people, I'm sorry, this video definitely did not help you. But if you're not one of those people, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, and come back. We'd love to see you. Keep thinking that birds are real. That's great.
Starting off this countdown, we have the sarcophagus. Basically, this is a massive steel and concrete structure that covers the Chernobyl power plant. It was designed to help contain the radiation. The construction of the structure lasted for 206 days, and those working on it had to work in shifts of no more than 7 minutes. Any more time spent near the reactors would have killed them. But still, they did sacrifice their lives building this because thousands of workers still died from exposure to the radiation. Those that survived got severely ill, and majority of them developed cancer. Nowadays, the sarcophagus is still there, but it's beginning to crumble. In 2019, they were in the process of dismantling it because it was going to collapse. So a new one is currently being installed. That's probably the scariest thing in Chernobyl because of how deadly the building it's containing is. Coming in at number 9, we have the gas masks. And if you guys are liking this video or want to see part 3, then smash that like button. Chernobyl already looks like the place where an apocalypse occurred. Buildings are completely abandoned, run down, and overgrown with nature. What doesn't help is the piles upon piles of gas masks scattered all throughout Chernobyl. This really adds to the eeriness of this place. And again, makes it look like a place where a zombie or alien takeover occurred. In fact, there is one room inside a school which is just completely filled with child-sized gas masks. It's very creepy, but also sad. Like, imagine how frightened the young children were when this happened. The gas masks found there are just a sad reminder of the horrors that took place there when the reactor exploded. Moving on to number 8, we have the rotting toys. Littered all throughout the city are toys or personal belongings people had to leave behind. The saddest thing to see are pictures of children's toys left behind. Like, I just think that was probably someone's favorite little dolly. Go anywhere there and you'll find items scattered everywhere, now broken and covered in filth. Like, imagine you're rushed out of your home and have to leave behind all your personal belongings. That must have been so hard. I can't imagine how everyone must have felt. It's really depressing to think about. Moving on at number 7, we have the examination chair. So this one is pretty strange, but somehow a gynecologist's examination chair ended up in the middle of the woods outside of a hospital. Not only is that super weird, but it's also super creepy. It's all rusted and beat up and looks like an old torture device. Not only that, but that means someone had to go inside the abandoned hospital, find that chair, and then carry it all the way back down and into the woods. I got a lot of questions. Why would someone do this? And how long did it take them to do this? And again, why would someone do this? Either way, it makes for a very spooky encounter. Moving on at number 6, we have the abandoned cooling tower. A partially constructed cooling tower can be found at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. They were built to evaporate the cooling water from the 2 new reactors. Sadly, they were never completed. Now, these things are massive. The diameter was over 120 meters and it stands at 150 meters tall. Obviously, after the accident, there was no need to continue on with the construction of this, so the government just left the towers there along with everything else. Eventually, over time, nature will have its way with it and it will start to erode and crumble. It's just crazy seeing all these abandoned infrastructures. Imagine how life would have been if that explosion never happened. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the toxic river. There's a river that's just filled with radioactive water right near the reactor. The scariest part is, despite how toxic the water is, A bunch of aquatic life live there. In particular, giant catfish. Yes, giant catfish. A video from 2016 shows a massive catfish swimming in the water. People originally were like, oh my god, what the heck is that? It must be some sort of mutated animal. Later, it was just found out to be a giant catfish. But still, what the heck? And it's the fact that they have adapted to be able to survive in that highly toxic water. Like, that just baffles me. Not only that, but they can thrive there because the water has no higher predators. Obviously though, you're not allowed to go fishing there. Okay, I feel like that's a given, but I also feel like people would still try it, so I'm just gonna say it. Don't go fishing there. In our fourth spot, we have the jarfish. Speaking of fish, we're gonna go with this. So back in 2016, photographer and journalist Miriam Wazer took a trip to explore the ruins of Chernobyl. While inside an abandoned building, she came across something very creepy and odd. She found a bunch of fish and other specimens in jars. Why someone was collecting fish, it just baffles many. And they weren't even like proper beakers or science mason jars. No, it looked like someone emptied out their jar of pickles and then used it to store the specimen. I think it's best if those remain untouched. Like, can you imagine how stinky they would be if they were open nowadays? They would reek. Old stinky fish is not something I would ever want to handle. Now the other specimen beside the fish are unknown. No one knows what the heck they are. But if you know, let me know in the comments below. Coming in at number 3, we have the abandoned hospitals. The hospitals at Chernobyl are quite eerie. They're just filled with rusted, empty hospital beds, littered syringes, and more. The walls and floors are cracking, and there's dirt and questionable red marks on the floor. I think the saddest thing though is that these hospitals are often trashed with medical supplies just tossed everywhere. The days after the explosion happened, people were frantically rushing to hospitals. Hospital staff were overwhelmed by the amount of people there. This moment is still preserved in the hospitals to this day. It's pretty dark once you think about it. And at number 2 today, we have the Sad Alley. The Sad Alley, or the Alley of Memory, is an alley in the Ukraine created in memory of the villages and residents who had to flee from their homes during the disaster. Basically, it's a walkway with signs lining the sides. These signs are names of cities and villages that had to evacuate and leave everything behind. It's a way to ensure we just never forget the impact that this disaster had. It's really sad. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the radioactive spiders. Yes, you heard me correctly. Imagine if Peter Parker got bit by one of these bad guys. He'd be like a weirdly mutated Spider-Man or something like that. But anyways, the spiders in the exclusion zone are radioactive. So you definitely don't want to be bit by one. Oh wait, it gets worse. They also make radioactive webs. Yeah, you heard me, that's a thing. So you don't have to just worry about these spiders, but you have to worry about walking through their deadly webs. Like, what the heck? No thank you. Nuh-uh. I'm not a fan of spiders, but imagine radioactive ones. That sounds like it belongs in a horror movie. Radioactive, radioactive.
At number 10, M.W. Jeffrey Black Hodgdon. Meet Jeffrey Black Hodgdon, or simply Jeff as I'll call him for the rest of the video. He holds the title of Grand Master within the mysterious world of Freemasonry in Massachusetts. Now, the Masons have always been enshrouded in mystery, and this video places them squarely in the spotlight. In it, we witness the Grand Master himself, the puppeteer of the Masonic affairs, exhibiting peculiar behavior that fuels the fever and speculation that he may in fact be a shapeshifter. Now, if you watch closely, you'll see his eyes undergo a bizarre transformation, displaying eerie splitted pupils. His skin too seems to undergo inexplicable alterations, further fueling the theories of his supernatural abilities. As with many conspiracy theories, the truth remains elusive and skepticism is ever present, but the video serves as a tantalizing glimpse into the world of shapeshifter allegations within secret societies. If you're enjoying this video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Most Amazing, and ringing that notification bell. And number 9 is President Bush. Now, taking a closer look at this intriguing clip featuring George Bush, the 41st president of the United States, we delve into the realm of conspiracy theories. It's important to note that there have been claims suggesting that his eyes undergo a peculiar transformation during the interview, leading some to speculate about his true nature. The Bush's family legacy is a prominent one in American politics, with both George Sr. and George Jr. ascending to the highest office in the land. But this video has fueled wild conjecture, with many asserting that George Sr. exhibits reptilian characteristics, a notion that extends to other politicians as well. While skepticism is certainly warranted, the video in question does certainly raise eyebrows. Whether it's a trick of the light, an optical illusion, or something more mysterious, it remains a point of debate. Ultimately, the world of conspiracy theories is as vast and enigmatic as the universe itself, leaving us to ponder the inexplicable, the unfathomable, and the unknown. At number 8 is CCTV footage. This intriguing footage raises questions about the possibility of shape-shifting abilities among individuals. In the video, shared on TikTok by user Native Starseed, depicts a CCTV camera footage from an elevator. Now, in this peculiar clip, a person inside the elevator appears to undergo a dramatic transformation while remaining completely stationary. The gradual and subtle nature of the change makes it easy to miss until the abrupt shift becomes apparent. Now, unfortunately, the video's origins and any subsequent investigations remain elusive, leaving us with more questions than answers. It's unsettling to consider the notion that anyone could potentially possess such extraordinary abilities to alter their appearance at will. At number 7, security. Even security guards are not immune from suspicion. We've all heard the whispers about politicians like Obama, Clinton, and Pelosi supposedly being part of the lizard people, but what about those entrusted with their safety? Could the entire government apparatus be infested with these shape-shifting creatures? Presidents, after all, don't go anywhere without their trusty security detail. But what do we really know about those guardians of power? In 2012, during a speech by former President Obama, something bizarre unfolded in the audience. One of the security guards caught on camera appeared to have no ears, and upon closer inspection, his head seemed to pulse eerily. It's like a scene straight out of a Harry Potter movie. Some claim it's clear evidence of a shape-shifting transformation in progress. But if that's the case, does that mean the entire CIA is a nest of lizard people? How do they decide who gets possessed by these alien overlords? Is there a hierarchy in the lizard world mirroring our own? Do they send agents from Draco to infiltrate our planet? The logistics are mind-boggling. The truth is elusive, but one thing is for sure: the world of conspiracy theories is as mysterious as ever. At number 6, I'm telling you right now, that mother Peep is not real. Here we have a bizarre and somewhat comical incident captured on TikTok featuring a woman's unhindered behavior aboard a plane. It's a viral sensation for all the right reasons. It's strange and frankly inexplicable. As the video unfolds, we witness flight attendants and security personnel escorting this Karen off a plane, apparently due to a passenger disturbance she caused. But the real twist comes when she insists that her departure has nothing to do with being kicked off. Instead, she claims to be fleeing from a passenger who terrifies her. In a moment reminiscent of a sitcom, she dramatically points down the aisle exclaiming, "That mother Beep right there is not real." The camera then pans to reveal an empty seat where she's gesturing. This incident stands as a testament to the wild and wacky behavior that can occur in the realm of public transportation. I mean, I have to take the TTC every day, so this is like a minor case. In the ever-creative world of the internet, it's no wonder this clip has become the pinnacle of Karen memes. At number 5, a scream in the woods. Coming from a perplexing video titled "Strange Sounds While Mushroom Hunting," uploaded by a content creator known for their naturalist content and gadget reviews, the video takes an eerie turn as they explore a serene forest, but amidst the tranquil backdrop, a curdling scream tears through the air, sending shivers down my spine and yours too if you watch the video. It's the kind of shriek that feels like it originated from the very bowels of hell and carries an unsettling hint of human within it, a fusion of terror and primal fear. But what really sends chills down your spine is the calmness that follows. The videographer, seemingly unfazed by the demonic wail, quietly mutters, I think it's time to go now. A far cry from the typical horror movie protagonist who'd be sprinting away in blind panic. It's this eerie composure that perhaps saved them from whatever lurked in the woods, allowing us to witness this inexplicable encounter. At number 4 is Hillary Clinton. Now let's dive into the intriguing world of conspiracy theories, and one that's often stirred the imagination involves none other than Hillary Clinton. See, people have speculated endlessly about her being a shapeshifter, a reptilian, or even just an extraterrestrial being altogether. But this particular piece of footage has been circulating and been causing quite a stir. See, when Hillary takes a sip of her water during one of her rallies for president, her chin seemingly undergoes a peculiar transformation, and not certainly in a way that looks natural. It enlarges and then seems to drop into her cup, prompting to suggest that she might be some kind of reptilian creature in disguise. Now, the footage is undeniably strange, gross, interesting, no doubt about it. It's the kind of thing that could leave you scratching your head, wondering if there's more to the story. But personally, I don't know if I'm entirely convinced just yet. I mean, the world of conspiracy theories is a rabbit hole, and this one, well, is disturbing to say the least. At number 3, the skin suit. In this TikTok clip that's been making the rounds, we stumble upon another perplexing sight. A seemingly ordinary man in an interview, perhaps a news reporter, though I can't be absolutely certain about that. But the kicker here is his face. Something truly bizarre unfolds right before our eyes. It's not just a subtle shift in his peepers, hinting at a reptilian underbelly. No, it's his entire face morphing, contorting almost like rubber. So the burning question emerges, could this be a lizard person sporting a malfunctioning skin suit? Now, I may not be your go-to guy for sports scores, music hits, or political analysis, but when it comes to aliens, ghosts, and yes, lizard people, I've got a little bit of expertise tucked away. Admittedly, not a personal relationship with lizard folks, I'm still very much human. However, the evidence here is compelling. It's hard to ignore the possibility that we're witnessing a reptilian in the midst of a disguise malfunction. Unsettling indeed. And number 2 is the skinwalker deer. As we dive into this intriguing footage, one must wonder, are these creatures simply cryptids, or could they be of extraterrestrial origin? Valhu's TikTok video reveals a creature resembling a deer at first glance, but upon closer inspection, it's clear something has gone awry. Not deers, is what I'm calling this thing, exhibit peculiar traits. Their movements mimic a newborn deer, yet they possess an appearance of an adult, leading to theories of extra joints in their limbs or double jointedness. Most strikingly, their eyes are located at the front of their heads, a characteristic more akin to predatory creatures. While they're typically associated with Tennessee, this occurred in South California, a region with a history of UFO activity. Could it be that this not deer was actually an alien on reconnaissance, attempting to camouflage itself as local wildlife, but missing the mark? The video holds many mysteries, and this video adds another layer to the enigma of unexplained phenomena. And at number 1 is that Dr. Phil guest. We've got a Dr. Phil guest who takes on a bizarre journey into the unknown. Picture this, you're sitting on a live TV show chatting away with Dr. Phil, and out of nowhere, your eyes start to transform into slits. It's the kind of stuff you'd expect to see in science fiction, not on daytime television. Now, if I were Dr. Phil, I'd like to think I'd stay calm and collected on the outside, but on the inside, I'd probably be doing mental backflips. I mean, who wouldn't? It's not every day that you witness real life eye transformation. But here's the kicker, what if, just what if, these individuals are more than meets the eye, pun intended? Maybe they possess supernatural abilities we can't fathom. Personally, I wouldn't want to upset a potential reptilian overlord by running and screaming. After all, who knows what they're truly capable of? It's a bizarre world out there, and this Dr. Phil guest certainly adds another layer to the mystery.
Starting off this countdown, we have the secret underground community. Believe it or not, but there is a group of urban explorers that like to hang out in the Paris catacombs. They call themselves the Cataphiles, and they sneak into the tunnels, evade the police, and then go exploring. In fact, they have claimed a number of sections as their own, marking it with murals and graffiti. Not only that, but they have found secret ways to get into the catacombs. Plus, they've started mapping the whole place out so that other explorers don't get lost. Only problem is that this is a very dangerous hobby. Since they are entering restricted areas in the catacombs, they have to watch out for crumbling walls, falling rocks, even pools of water. I don't know about you, but I prefer to spend my time with the living and not the dead. In our 9th spot, we have the Lost Girl. In 2005, a group of teens illegally snuck into the catacombs on New Year's. Sadly, they all didn't make it out alive. They all were drinking and having a blast when one of their friends, Masha, wandered off alone. When they finally realized she had disappeared, they went out looking for her but couldn't find her. No one knew what happened to her until 4 months later. That's when a group of boys were exploring the catacombs when they stumbled upon her frozen body. Since she was drunk, she wandered off to another section of the catacombs and then got lost and froze to death. How heartbreaking. Coming in at number 8, we have Filel Asale. Filel Asale was a doorkeeper at the Val de Grace Hospital during the French Revolution. And the hotel actually had a staircase located in the courtyard that would lead to the catacombs. So one night in November of 1793, Filel descended into the catacombs to retrieve a bottle of liquor stored down there. However, he only brought one candle with him and it was not enough to light the way. Eventually it blew out and he was down there in pitch black. Being semi-intoxicated, he stumbled around the catacombs lost. For 11 years, no one knew what happened to him. That was until 1804 when his body was found. He was identified by the hospital keyring hanging from his belt. Moving on, number 7, we have the Whispering Walls. A number of explorers have claimed that no one should ever be in the Paris catacombs after midnight. For if you are, then the walls will begin to speak. People have claimed to have heard disembodied voices coming from the catacombs. These voices confuse them and try to persuade them to travel deeper and deeper into the catacombs until you're in too far that you're lost and you can't escape. Actually, fun fact, they use this as inspiration for the movie As Above, So Below, which takes place in the Paris catacombs. In our 6th spot today, we have the camera system. In 2004, a group of French police explored some of the restricted areas of the Paris catacombs. And that's when they discovered something truly terrifying. First, they found a PA system that when triggered would play sounds of guard dogs barking. Then they found a full-on bar, living area, workshop, lounge, and cinema with space to fit 20 people. Like what? Not only that, but whoever created this little home setup was stealing other people's electricity from above. The creepiest part is that they had a full-on security camera set up, and the police soon realized that they were being watched. They left to get a bigger team to further investigate the area, but by the time they got back, everything was gone. The only thing left was a note that read, "Don't search." We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Decure. Decure is the name of a very mysterious man. We don't know much about him, but we do know that he was a veteran of the French army, and he was also an artist. In fact, he created a number of sculptures for the catacombs. However, this eventually led to his death. During the construction of one of his sculptures, a part of it fell and crushed him completely. It's said that to this day, his soul wanders the catacombs. In fact, people have seen him down there before. In our 4th spot today, we have the Crypt of Passions. The Crypt of Passions, located in the ossuary, is a pillar that is covered in skulls to the point that it's just completely concealed. The skulls end up forming what looks like a barrel, which is creepy for a number of reasons. Just take in, those are real skulls. You're surrounded by people who used to be living, and most of them died in tragic ways, and then their bones were used for an art display. A number of people who have visited this area in the catacombs have reported feeling very uneasy around the Crypt of Passion. It's believed that some of the souls that were placed there have not found peace. I mean, in some cultures, they believe that a proper burial must be done with a tomb marker, or else the soul will never be able to rest or go to the afterlife. However, that was not possible at the time. The catacombs were built because grave overcrowding was a serious issue back then, among other things. In our 3rd spot today, we have the scratch marks. There's this really creepy area in the Paris catacombs where it's just a wall of scratches. Like, it looks as if bodies rose from the dead and tried to scratch their way out. It's a creepy touch to the place, that's for sure. Moving on at number 2, we have the Lost Tape. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard about this urban legend before, and in fact it also inspired the movie As Above, So Below. And it might not even be a legend, it might be real, but to this day, no one knows. Once upon a time, in 1990, a weird dusty camcorder was discovered in the catacombs. The camera appeared to have been there for quite some time, so they decided to inspect it. What was found on it was very disturbing. The video was of an unidentified male explorer wandering around the catacombs. While down there, we see him interacting with the skulls around him. But then something spooks the man and he ends up growing paranoid and panicked. At one point, he drops the camera and just runs away. Sadly, he never made it out alive. This tape contains the final moments of his life. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the criminals. In 2017, it was discovered that a group of robbers used the catacombs to break into an apartment. Basically, they figured out that the catacombs were right under an apartment vault. So they drilled their way in through the limestone and entered the apartment to steal over 300 bottles of vintage wine. In total, they valued at close to 250,000 euros. Isn't that insane?
Coming in number 10, we have the Croatian Tape. The thing about found footage is it can easily be staged. There's no way of telling if what you're looking at is made by someone with the intention of freaking you out, or if it was actually the last moments of someone's life caught in a disturbing video. Well, that is what we have on our first point. The Croatian Tape is said to be recorded in 2005, and no one has any idea of when it worked its way onto the internet. In the tape, there are 2 young boys who are just walking about late at night, and then they're approached by some strange man. There's a couple things that seem off about this dude. For one, he's stumbling around like he's drunk or disoriented, and 2, he has some sort of canvas bag on his head like he's Jason from the first Friday the 13th movie. First, this guy seems harmless. It seems like maybe he's lost, but then he starts to get aggressive and chase after the boys. They outrun him and make it back to their apartment building, and right when they think that they're safe, they see this in the elevator.
Thank you, yes.
Now, this could have all been staged. I mean, how on earth did this baghead guy make it back to the elevator? But they might have been messing around with something supernatural that tracked them down. Coming in at number 9, we have the Paris catacombs footage. If someone invites you to come down into some catacombs for exploring, just say no. That's not a fun place to be, especially when you're in Paris. Why would you spend your time walking around with a bunch of old bones when you could be eating croissants until you need a forklift to sit upright? Well, in Paris, someone thought it would be a good idea to take a break from gorging on baguettes to look at some rotting bones. This is some of the most terrifying found footage I have ever seen. You have a POV shot of someone walking through this tunnel system. For the most part, everything seems normal, but then they start to panic. I don't know if it's the strange markings all over the walls that starts to freak him out, or maybe he got lost, or maybe he heard something, but it doesn't matter because he just starts running. As he's running, you can tell that he has no idea where he's going, and eventually he drops his camera and makes off into the darkness. Let's take a look at this man's panic. Now, we have no idea why this guy started to panic or what happened to him after. The catacombs are like a maze that go on for miles in every direction, so there's a good chance that he got lost down there and was never seen again, or that whatever he was running away from caught up with him. Coming in at number 8, we have Doorbell Cam. There is nothing better than looking through some videos from your doorbell only to find a creeper walking close to your house. What could be worse than that? Well, what about a dude caught in the act of creeping around your house? The owner of this home woke up to a notification coming from their phone that someone was at their door. You know, sometimes I think it's weird that our lives are becoming so automated, but when you see something like this, you would be happy to have a camera on the front of your door. This person kept trying to work their way into the home in one of the strangest attempts I have ever seen. He rings the doorbell and then tries to break in afterwards. The man is probably deranged and had no idea what was going on. Coming in at number 7, we have the mysterious noise. Now, even when found footage doesn't have something that is explicitly creepy about it, like a dude with a bag on his head chasing you down the street, there can be something strange and creepy to it that just leaves a weird feeling in your stomach. That's how people feel about the Paraguayan camcorder footage. It would seem to be some sort of strange home video that has several different scenes spliced together. It follows a group of teens and all the footage is extremely grainy, which makes sense because the footage is apparently from the 90s. You can hear that strange humming in the background. Now, while this is probably some static that was picked up because the recording is on a very old device, some other people think that this could be a curse of sorts. That if you listen listen to the full tape, it will bring a dark energy into your life as if you were watching the tape from The Ring. Coming in number 6, we have the South Korean ferry incident. Back in 2014, a ferry in South Korea would take on way too many cars and passengers. Now, even though the vessel should have been able to handle this many people on board, the waves were rough that day and the ship ended up tipping on its side. This entire video is about 20 minutes long, and throughout most of it, no one really seems to think that they're in any danger. They are convinced that the people around them will all be saved when their rescue comes. Unfortunately, they were wrong, and many people that day were not saved. Coming in at number 5, we have the skeleton at the door. Having a doorbell camera might bring in more stress into your life than you would think. Let me show you this footage, and then you can see how stressful it would be to see something like this happen at the front of your house. You see a creepy skeleton come out of the darkness and then cover up the camera to your door. Now, apparently, this didn't lead to anything. It was probably just some kids goofing around, but some kids goofing around can make you feel like your home is about to get broken into by the undead. Coming in at number 4, we have a towering flame. This is one of the most famous cases of found footage in the 90s. When you hear the start of this, you will literally think it's a plot for a B movie, but this is really what happened. It was in California, and on the side of the road, there was some old cassettes that were found. On these tapes was a recording of a massive blaze. It was a house that had been set on fire. Here's some of the footage from that tape. It's just a taste of the whole thing. The rest of the footage goes on for about 4 minutes. You can hear people laughing, and you can only assume that those were the people who lit the fire. For a while, this was just a tall tale and some creepy footage, but eventually the tape made it onto Unsolved Mysteries, and through this, the people were able to track down the culprits. It turned out to be 2 teenagers who were both arrested and tried for their crimes. Coming in at number 3, we have an oncoming train. This footage is some of the most infuriating and depressing footage on this list. It comes from a movie shoot in 2014 when a crew was filming a movie about Greg Almond. They were on a train bridge and they thought that they had all day to shoot, but there was something that the director didn't tell them. The director had contacted the city to get permission to shoot on the bridge, but they were denied the right to shoot twice. Then the crew had to rush off the bridge while the train was barreling towards them. Unfortunately, not everyone was able to make it out of the way of the train safely. When everything was said and done, the production company was sued and had to pay out over $3 million, and the director was thrown in prison for manslaughter. Coming in at number 2, we have No Through Road. There have been a lot of theories about No Through Road. On the footage, there are 4 English teens driving around late at night until they get lost. Eventually, they get to a dead end and try to work their way back, and their car stalls. Then they are confronted by this.
Jay, just give me the... What are you doing? Turn it back on.
It's not me. I can't.
Turn the bloody lights on!
Now, that seems pretty terrifying. What on earth do you think that thing is? It looks like it could have just been a regular man, but the rest of the footage is too gruesome for me to show you here. It cuts some of the previous footage on the camera in between these young men being attacked by this strange figure. Now, when you watch it, I would guess that this is a very well put together project from a few teens who wanted to make a short horror movie. But when you dig deeper into the story, the rumors say that the car was found with blood all over it, and there was only the tape left in the car. And coming in the number 1 spot, we have the Stephen McDaniels footage. This is by far some of the most chilling footage that you could ever see. Stephen McDaniels was a very troubled person. He was classmates with Lauren Giddings, and even though the two barely interacted, he had an obsession with her. Without her knowing, he would creep outside her window and film her. Just seeing that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. This entire time, Lauren had no idea that there was someone outside her apartment, and it was the last day of school when Stephen would break into her apartment. The police were later notified and found the footage I just showed you on Stephen's computer. Stephen is currently in prison, and there's a good chance he will never be released.
Coming in at number 10 is Let Me In. Now, Mandy set up Ring cameras around her rural property to capture footage of the wildlife, but when the mom of 2 was out with her family one night, she got a notification about movement near her back door. When she looked at the footage, she noticed a shadow before someone loudly whispers the words, "Let me in." There is then rapid scratching as if someone is trying to enter her home. Now, terrified by the encounter, she started closely monitoring her cameras, and when she found more footage of a figure lurking near her back shed, and then another night a cloaked person slowly walked up to her backyard, staring up at her house. Now, in the first clip, a strange figure walks into the corner of the frame and lingers near Mandy's back shed before leaving. In the second clip, the person makes her way into the backyard and stands just a meter from the back steps, near where Mandy was tending to her sick baby inside. We notified authorities, but this is making me feel angry, confused, and concerned, she said. Now, Mandy went on to explain that she had now added extra security cameras with floodlights, and that the US couple are now armed in order to protect their family from any future trespassers. Now, people were incredibly disturbed by the footage Mandy had captured, saying they believed the first one to be a spirit, but the second one to be an actual person messing with the family. Yeah, I think they need to move ASAP. Number 9. Are you sure? Now, this footage scares me to my core. It shows a man approaching a house and repeatedly knocking on the door while repeating, "I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure?" Now, this goes on for a couple of minutes before a man responds over the Ring doorbell. At this point, the footage turns all the more unsettling as the man at the door says he wants to take advantage of and end the life of the woman inside the house. Now, the footage was shared by Amanda Nowak of Las Vegas, and according to Amanda, she was inside the house hiding during the entire encounter. Now, the man never saw her and was never actually speaking directly to her in the tense 3 minutes, and thankfully the man has been arrested, but that doesn't make the footage any less unnerving. Number 8. Past homeowner. Apparently, if your family owned a property decades ago and sold it, that still means it's yours. Well, at least according to Judy Klein. Since January 2022, she has been harassing a Mexican family in St. Louis, Missouri, accusing them of being in the country illegally. Over several incidents, Judy had broken into their basement, damaged items, racial his family, and threatened them with a hammer. It wasn't until Ring footage of her shouting obscenities on the family's doorstep was put online that the authorities took things more seriously. In the past year, Judy had reportedly only been taken into custody temporarily, which is why she kept coming back. In February 2023, Judy was arrested on several charges, including burglary and using a weapon. In June, she gained another offense with interference of housing rights, and now she's also banned from being near or contacting the family. Number 7. The Masked Man. Finding a masked man at your front door in the middle of the night can be pretty scary, but when that man returns to your home 3 times in 1 week, it's downright frightening, a blogger for Ring explains. Now, they said that because that's exactly what happened to a family in Milford, Connecticut. After just a couple of days into their vacation, where they were more than 100 miles away from their home, Ring alerted them that a masked man was at their front door. Though he couldn't break in, he returned a few days later. Now, despite the family sending the videos to police and local news stations, the man returned again. This time, however, he was arrested, and thank God, because who knows what he would have tried to do. Number 6. Poison. A man who lived below a family in Florida got fed up with hearing noises from above him and felt that his complaints were not being heard, so he tried to poison them, and it was caught on camera. Umar Abdullah, his pregnant wife, and their young daughter moved into the apartment complex in June 2022. The man below them soon began sending angry texts to his new neighbors, complaining that he was losing sleep over the sound of a toilet seat clanging. Soon after, the family suddenly began experiencing unexplained bouts of nausea and dizziness. A family friend first noticed a chemical odor while grabbing a package for them while they were away on vacation. Umar then also noticed the scent and suspected an issue with his water heater. However, the stench persisted even after he replaced the appliance and had his air ducts and vents cleaned. Now, desperate for resolution, he called the fire department, who conducted tests but found nothing amiss. Now, he eventually noticed a small crack in his doorway and began to suspect his neighbor. After falling ill yet again, he set up a hidden camera outside his door and was shocked to see his neighbor crouching down and emptying a syringe under his front door. The man used a laboratory on the University of South Florida campus to mix and load liquid syringes on multiple occasions with the intent to harm residents of the condominium. He was then arrested on June 27th, and a hazmat team revealed the liquid chemical agent contained a combination of methadone and hydrocodone, both opiate pain medications. Now, word of the shocking poisoning sent other residents of the Oxford Place at Tampa Palms into a state of panic, and according to a suit, they seek to kick out the man and his co-owner roommate from the complex. Number 5. Standing visitor. A woman who wished to remain anonymous checked her doorbell camera to find a stranger standing outside her house and staring for a few minutes. The resident, who lives in one of the houses in the Darlings of Hart Village near Whirlpool, said the incident happened at 3:15 a.m. on Monday, January 31st, 2022. She shared the alarming footage to a local community Facebook page and warned other residents to be careful. In the clip, a tall, skinny-built man in a dark-colored jacket walks to the footpath right in front of her house and stops midway. He stalls stalls and appears to check on his phone before stepping forward again, taking a pause. Now, according to the timestamp, he stayed for about 6 minutes before he walked away from the camera. The woman said he stood there for a few minutes from 3:15 a.m. to 3:21 a.m. She added then that he disappeared for an hour, not sure where, and then he came back running from the side of her house into a car. Nothing seems to be taken, but it's just super creepy, she said. She asked her neighbors to see if they have seen the man near their houses, but they said no. But a resident replied on her Facebook page that something similar happened to them a few weeks ago. Number 4. Kidnapping. On November 12, 2019, disturbing footage of a woman screaming for help was captured from a Ring doorbell camera in Los Angeles around 11 p.m. Now, the police were not aware of the doorbell footage until the following morning, but responded to a report of a possible kidnapping. LAPD officer Mike Lopez said responding authorities could not find evidence of a crime, and after the footage came to light, the LAPD reopened their investigation. Now, the screams were thought to be coming from a white vehicle that drives down the street. A woman is heard yelling, "Somebody help me," and a witness claims she also heard a man say, "I'm sorry." Now, what's crazy about this footage though is that the neighbor comes out of her house and hears all the screaming and does absolutely nothing. The bystander effect is truly disgusting, and she could have saved that woman. Number 3. Doorbell liquor. On January 8, 2019, police started searching for a man in Salinas, California, who spent 3 hours licking a doorbell in the middle of the night. The individual in question, Roberto Daniel Aurora, was easy to track down thanks to a newly installed surveillance system at the home. The Duggan family were not home when Roberto made his way to their doorbell, but their children were. Roberto also moved an extension cord in the front yard, and he relieved himself on camera. But yeah, he licked a doorbell for 3 hours, which is just disturbing. You kind of laugh about it afterwards because technically he didn't harm anyone, he didn't break anything, homeowner Sylvia told ABC, but I don't know if I'd be able to laugh about it though because it was extremely weird. Number 2. Strange woman. On August 24th, 2018, a resident from the Sunrise Ranch neighborhood in Montgomery, Texas, contacted local authorities after a strange woman rang her doorbell in the middle of the night. A partially undressed woman who appeared to be wearing some sort of hand restraint rang the bell and left. Some people believe she was related to a local missing persons, but law enforcement do not believe that she matched the missing person flyers that were sent in. Now, deputies canvassed the area with descriptions of the mysterious woman and asked neighbors if they had heard anything. Then on August 29th, authorities identified the 32-year-old woman as only Lauren. Police confirmed that she was alive after a house call. A man in the home threatened to end his life, and when authorities arrived, they discovered the man, later identified as Dennis Collins. He had died from a self-inflicted. Now, Dennis's girlfriend was the mysterious woman. Authorities say she is the victim of domestic violence. On September 18th, Lauren opened up on Inside Edition detailing how she ended up at the doorbell. She fell asleep next to her boyfriend of 4 months and woke up to what seemed like a nightmare. "I woke up and he was kneeling on my chest and stuffing some sort of cloths in my mouth," she said. "I truly felt like I was going to die that night." And coming in at number 1 is house explosion. On August 16th of this year, an explosion in a residential suburb outside of Pittsburgh left 6 people dead, including a father and son, and injured several others. It destroyed 3 houses and damaged at least a dozen more, authorities said. First responders who rushed to the plum found people trapped under debris and took 3 people to the hospital. The remains of 5 victims, 4 adults and 1 child, was also found at the scene. Another person died a couple days later at a local hospital. The Allegheny County Office of the Medical Examiner said. Now, the incident appeared to begin when one house exploded, engulfing 2 neighboring homes in flames as well, according to the county. Now, multiple other homes were damaged with windows blown out, and crews from 18 fire departments covered the scene and put out the flames and sifted through the rubble. Now, what's incredible is that a neighboring house caught the explosion on camera. Fire officials are still investigating the cause of the explosion, and investigators are aware the homeowners of the exploded house were having issues with the water tank in their basement and are looking into that as a potential cause, along with any and all other possibilities, they said in an update. "I heard this boom. It was so loud that it woke me up. I thought it was thunder from the storms last night," a neighbor, Alexis Tempinski, told CNN affiliate WTAE. "My water bottle fell on me instantaneously. I was shaking. It scared me so bad."